So what do you do when you're not serious? You start your own company. Delusions of grandeur are strong with me. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So
Welcome back, all of my Courage, Confidence, Connections podcast fans. This is Janice Debo, and today I have a wonderful guest, Nate Becker. We have never met, so this is our first time getting to know each other, so you'll get to meet him at the same time.
what a
Well,
good time we're gonna have.
oh, yeah. Welcome, Nate.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Good to be sitting across from you digitally.
I know. What would we do without all this technology when it works?
When it works, exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're not too far away from me. You live in Bend, right? In the Bend area.
I
So,
do live in Bend. Yep, I do. Yeah, a little bit about myself. I'd love to tell you. Well, first and foremost, my name is Nate Becker. I own Higher Ground Moving here in Bend, Oregon. Well, my wife and I do, mostly her. But she doesn't like podcasts as much as I do. So I get to jump on the podcast machine, sit in front of people, happy people just like you, and chit chat about what we do. But what we do at Higher Ground Moving is we're a full service moving company. So if you need your whole house moved, we got you. You need some things moved across your house, we got you. Let's say you got a big refrigerator delivered and your husband said, I got you. And then he doesn't got you, he got you. You know what I mean? So
I
long story short, we do it all in the moving and relocation business. I kind of lead the moving part of it. I put a nice, probably the best person in town. Her name's Ruby. She's in charge of. If you call Higher Ground Moving, you're going to get Ruby. She's the voice of the company. She's what makes everything work. She's the grease and the gears. And then my wife, Rachel, she takes care of the packing division. So let's say Grandma's China need packed up nice. She's the one who's going to take care of all that.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, I have had so many moving experiences. I even started calling the word move a four-letter word because
Hmm.
I was so I can relate to people that are in distress and just don't know what to do. So what I like to talk to you about is, courage. You stepped into this business. So tell our audience what motivated you to start a moving company because that is a hard job.
You got a good point. I'll be real with you. So I was working at a moving company because I had no direction in life. The moving company I was working for said it was okay to drink beers on the job, have a good time, do whatever you want, smoke a little weed, whatever. So, and that's what the way most moving companies are. It's very laid back and chill and customer third kind of thing. We caused damages. We could have got jobs done a lot faster. But it was perfect for who I was at the time, which was someone who didn't care about much of anything. Uh, then I met my wife Rachel, and we kind of got a little shook and say, all right, it's time to start doing something. So when we were dating, I worked at a better company, a much better moving company, and I got used my commercial driver's license and my other gifts that I had to be, somebody at that company, but I still wasn't taking myself seriously enough. I wasn't taking the job seriously enough. So what do you do when you're not serious? You start your own company. Delusions of grandeur are strong with me. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So in 2019, we started Higher Ground Moving. I had literally $200 to my name, and I thought I could start a business. And it took more money than that just in regulation fees.
Oh,
So
yeah.
luckily, I was able to do some fly-by-night things to really get going. I don't recommend it because I was a lot of liability insurance-wise if something was to go wrong. But then quickly, very quickly, with the help of my wife, Rachel, we were able to do all the proper licensing, proper everything, get all lined up with the Department of Transportation, which is easier said than done to be a legitimate company in the state of Oregon. They're very, very picky here, which is very nice now that I'm a company. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, we started up, and now the rest is history. But like I said, I started with $200 in my pocket, and I was living in the spare bedroom of a friend's house. It was wild, wild early days.
That's a great story, Nate. I love that because I help entrepreneurs. I help people. I've worked with startups. I work with people that are new business and existing businesses.
Mm.
And I love the stories behind those. I have one behind my starting this as well. But there's always a story behind something. And just because you have a dream doesn't mean that if you don't have the backing or the wherewithal to fulfill your dream, there's always a way, and your story proves it.
What year is it right now? It's 2025, right? So
6 years
that's
ago.
so in 7 years ago, 6 years ago, I was living in the spare bedroom of my friend's house.
Mhm.
That was prime. 7 years ago, I was living in the woods, or living in my car, living in a tent. I was what you call homeless. But I wasn't homeless because I had a broken leg or, because of this or because of that. I was homeless because I had a broken mind. And being able to finally look back at that and think, whoa, 7 years ago, I was going down a path that's for most people is really tough to get back from.
It sure is.
So I'm lucky and I feel like most of it is due to the people we run into in life
Mhm.
and choose to stay with. So I got the right people around me.
I agree. So tell me where courage came into your life through that story. Because I
Hmm.
love our audience to know because courage looks different for everybody. And so
Okay.
what's your story?
Well, I'll answer that in a long-winded way because why not, right? So, my superpower is my delusions of grandeur. I delusionally think I could do anything, and while I'm going for that, I find out what I have to do to get there along the way. And it didn't take me a lot of courage to start because I'm in my head, I'm delusional, which is my superpower, like I said. So the courage has come through um, admitting that I have so much more to learn, admitting to myself that the growth hasn't even begun. Like I'm the tip of the iceberg of my growth and who I am, and I can feel it, and like my cells vibrate. That I was able to take the first step in developing myself and continuing my education because in school it wasn't for me. Like I didn't want to be there, you know. I didn't want to learn in that classroom all that stupid stuff I was never going to learn. Especially now with Jessica right over there looking
Yeah,
so good, you know what I mean? Like it's tough.
yes, it is. Well, that's your story of coming out of the what you were living in or not living in.
Yeah.
Yeah, is really powerful because I've known people and I've been close to that scenario. Now, what I like to do is usually talk about confidence. So I sense a lot of confidence, but that has not come easy, I don't think. Has it? Has it just come easy to you, or has it been something
I
you struggle with?
I mean, I'm very confident on the outside, but inside the confidence is shook most of the time. And it gets, if my confidence on the inside is really strong and the outside is strong, that means I'm not pushing myself hard enough, really, or I'm not being honest with myself. Um, I think that starting a business takes a lot of confidence. I don't want to sell myself short on having that confidence, but I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard either. But I think that anything that we do takes a lot of confidence. Uh,
I think so too. Well, that's being honest. I like your transparency because people need to know that stepping into something, be it a business, a relationship, or whatever, we need to embody who we are and be honest about who we are. And if you like, I need more confidence or more courage, then say so. Reach out. Now that brings me to connections because if
that's the
you're,
best one for me.
well, I was going to say your connections have helped drive you, propel you, move you to where you are now.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, they definitely have. I mean, one of the connections I made, like I mentioned, shout out to Ruby earlier. When I was low, living in the middle of nowhere and in the woods, let's say 10, 15 years ago, I was homeless for a good little stretch, and it was because I wasn't trying hard enough. But she said, Nate, you can't. in Central Oregon, you can't live in the woods in the winter. You'll die. And I said, I'm pretty tough. And she said, all right, you live in my garage. She had nowhere to send me. So she's like, at least get in my garage. You won't die there. You'll just get frostbite, you freaking maniac. So I didn't want to take up, well, I couldn't really take up too much room. She had a full garage, and her stuff. So I found my nook, and all the room I had for me and my kids were three hammocks. So we strung up three hammocks, one, two, three, in her garage, and that was the best place we had to live for a while, which was
Wow, so
pretty.
you had children through this process.
I'm 38. I had my first kid with my first wife at 20. I got married to my first wife at 19. Had the first kid at 20, second kid I think at 24. Anyway, now they're 18 and 16, so I guess it's second.
Almost almost adults. How does that feel?
I mean, they grow up so fast.
Yeah.
Everyone says, hey, the kids grow up so fast. All right, my son is 6'3". I swear, I sneezed 20 minutes ago and he was 6'1", and he sent me another picture. He's 6'3". He won't stop growing. He's a tennis star at his school. My daughter's 16. She runs track. She's buff. There's no bullies that try and go after her. Let's just put it that way.
Wow, well, that is awesome to do that, to go through what you went through with kids, that even that magnifies the courage it took for you
Well,
to, and they probably lit that fire because you wanted to protect them.
yeah, of course. But in this society, they also had, I was resting on my laurels because they had their mom, my parents. They had a huge support community. It wasn't like I was doing anything special. I was kind of being selfish is all I was doing. And it's on me. Like I look back to myself and I think I had a lot of wasted years. Definitely wasted potential, but looking back, it wasn't wasted years. It was years of growth, and now I can put myself in those shoes that most people haven't been in.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit more about the connections in your life that
Oh yeah, of
have
course.
impacted where you are today.
Yeah, like I was saying, Ruby's been a great one, and she didn't start the company with us, but she was. I recruited her for years until she finally came on, and since she came on, the company has been growing and growing and growing. So that connection that I met doing something else, down the line, you never know who you're going to meet that's going to absolutely be able to impact your life in ways that you have no idea. And I'm a huge believer that even just bumping into someone on the street harmlessly, you can say the right thing, and that can lead to a business deal that you're both making millions on, or it can lead to you getting stabbed in the kidneys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how we deal with the people and the connections that we meet is huge, and my eyes have been opened massively to that since I started this business and since I started taking myself seriously.
So when did you find yourself taking yourself more seriously? Was it when you met your wife?
Yeah, I blame my wife.
You blame her?
I blame her. No, she's the real firelighter.
Is
She's the
she?
one who lights the fire. She's the one who says things to me where I think I didn't like that you said that to me, and now I am mad. When in reality, it's like I'm not mad. My ego's mad. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, we
Yeah.
get, because I have had people in my life that are no longer and don't want them in my life any longer, but things that they said and did changed me, helped me.
Yeah.
It helped me to see the light and see. I'm a writer, so I have a stack of journals that I refer to. And the other day I was going through one, I went, oh my gosh, somebody said that to me and I still deal with it. So it was a real eye opener to find out that, oh wow, I haven't really faced this. It does take facing our challenges for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like we get confronted with our challenge time and time and time again until we do something about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious what your passions are. I know you've got to be passionate about what you're doing in your business. You have employees, you have family. So, but is there any other passion that you feel drives you?
Yeah, I find passion in finding offbeat conversations. I find passion in just the right amount of group interactions. with people who are very intentional. I find passion, my greatest passions involve me feeling like I could be dying right now, like jumping out of an airplane soon. My son, like I said, he's graduating high school. So him and his grandpa and I and his uncle, we're all going to jump out of an airplane. That'll be my first.
Love it.
So that's a passion. A passion is I love to experience life and feel things, even if there's a chance, and heaven forbid, but even if there's a chance, I might stub my toe. You know what I mean?
I do. I do. I think you're a risk taker.
I'm a risk taker. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs they are risk takers because it's safe to continue working for your boss because you know what the paycheck is. You know that if your boss is building has a gas tank, that's not your fault, buddy. You got this. You're fine. You got a paycheck. But your boss has all the hardships. But it's also easy to sit back and say, why isn't boss paying me double? You know, if you want to
Exactly.
make double, go take that risk, develop some courage, develop your confidence, and find some connections.
Hey, I like what you just did there. Well, I know that I've been coaching for about 8 years. And a couple of years ago, when I was going through a tough time, I decided to take on a little part-time or full-time job, but working from home, doing customer service. Boy, did I get some life lessons in that. But then they shut down. After 9 months, they shut down. So that propelled me back into my coaching, but at a different level. I learned a lot through that. And so you can say working for someone is security, but it never really is. It feels secure maybe, but I have to say I've had the rug pulled out from under me more than once.
I don't think that the human condition is safe. I don't think we're safe. I
Mm.
don't think we're secure. I know that we're striving for it, but I think it's only our mind that's striving for it. And I think that in reality, our spirit or soul or whatever you want to call it, it's striving for hardship. So I think the duality that we struggle between the mind and the spirit is real.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So tell me, you've got two kids, and tell me in your business, I find it fascinating that even though you had worked for a moving company, did you enjoy it enough to think I can
Oh,
I can start my own company?
no, no. So my dad's a tree trimmer. I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
So I was working, and anything's better than being a tree trimmer, I thought. And then I found moving, which I mean, it's par. But like I said, I was working for a moving company, and I just thought I could do it. And I see the bills come in. I say, oh, that's $1,000 move. That's a $3,000 move. That's a $4,000 move. I'm on a move to Arizona for $26,000, and I'm only going to make 700. Like, and I thought that I can do all this. And I realized that it's actually very hard to do all that. It's very easy to say you can start something and start something and do something. And it was kind of easy at the start, but at the first sign of hardship, the first time, we drop something or the first time, the truck tire pops or the first time things happen, that's when separate the big boys from the little boys, I guess.
I would say so, because I've watched the guys that have moved me. I've used two different companies. I didn't know about you guys at the time, and I won't mention their names for obvious reasons.
We all no slander, no slander.
No slander, and they did a good job. It's not a cheap thing to pay for our audience knows that if they've ever
No.
moved. It's not, but you know what? Having someone you trust move your stuff is invaluable because I did all my own packing, and I
Mhm.
have to say, looking back, I won't don't want to do that again either.
How's your back feel after that? And how long did it take?
Oh my goodness. And I had friends in and out, Nate, in and out helping me move.
Mhm.
I going to the liquor store to get boxes and
Uh-huh. And were they just getting boxes there?
oh yeah, well, sometimes. Yeah, it's a lot to
Well,
moving.
real quick. So moving costs a lot of money. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that.
Is it worth how much is a divorce? How much is the loss of a friendship?
Right.
How much did you spend on that couch? Be honest with yourself, because couches aren't cheap. And do you
Mhm.
have just one, or now do you have two couches? And how much was that fridge? Because your fridge ain't cheap either. Yeah, you add up all the goods you have, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Nobody can move for pizza and beer anymore. Husband and wife teams, when they move together, it takes a while to recover. You know what I mean? Like it's just
You find out what you're made of, I'll give you that. You do.
well, you
It's
do.
yeah, you can think, well, I can do this myself. Well, the going through what I went through, and it was through a divorce, and I moved multiple times, that I watched these guys move my stuff out of storage into their truck. And I don't know how they got it all in there, to be honest. It was a miracle. But
Mhm.
it was the hottest day in August at the end.
Always,
Oh,
always.
the hottest day. And I watched them just keep going and keep going while I sat in the shade. I had to stay there with them. And I sat in the shade, kept the AC running. I felt bad for them, but you
Our
know,
job.
it is a hard job. And so anybody that's thinking about moving needs to call you guys, that's for sure.
And tip your movers if they're doing a great job. I know moving is already expensive. I'm not trying to get any more money out of you. This is a willing thing. A tip is a gratuity. But if you find your movers doing above and beyond service, rock and rolling, maybe the company is not the best company. You don't choose our company. Maybe you have a tough office lady to deal with. But if the movers are just going above and beyond for you, hiking up and down your stairs for you, throw them a couple bucks and tell them you're proud of the work ethic, because a lot of people these days are not being told they're like that are not being recognized. I'm hearing that a lot where people are leaving their jobs because there's no recognition, or they're sick of not getting any recognition for what they're doing. I think humans crave, recognition and a team.
Okay, so let me ask you that. Being an employee or having a hardworking team, how do you recognize your employees? What kind of things do you do?
Yeah, we do a few things. So I start with my bottom line. What's most important to the company is we have to make money. One
Right.
of the best ways to make money is to do the best service in town.
Mhm.
So, well, then you need social proof. You can't just be doing the best service to Sue and Sue tells nobody, then only Sue knows. So
Right.
Sue's got to tell people. One of the best ways for Sue to tell people is on the internet with Google.
Hmm.
So we try to get 5-star Google reviews on every single job. We try to get that with a picture of the crew and a name as well. So we try to get on every job. I want my guys' names on the internet on Google saying, Tim, Fred, and Jose, the best movers ever had. Not only that, here's a picture of them, carrying my couch that weighed 2,000 pounds, and they're all flexing with one arm. Like, this is the best. I've never even seen anything like this. If you check our Google reviews, we get those daily.
Nice.
I reward my guys at the shop with every month they get enough money to cover the car payment at least. Like they're getting paid for their reviews. The ones who are getting them, they're getting recognized with money. They're getting recognized with a chart on the wall. They're getting recognized by me because I'm always lavishing praise on anyone who gets a 5-star review for the company, because that's so important to me.
Well,
I
yeah, it's very valuable.
Yeah, so
I,
that's the main thing.
well, I saw on social media where you did a spontaneous barbecue to reward them. And
Yeah, good call. We did that. That was just for fun. They had a hard week, and I wanted to barbecue, so let's barbecue at the shop. Let's all do it together. And I got them, Coors Lights because it's after work. Nice light beer, and we all had a good time. We also last last winter, yeah, of course, we all took the guys out snowmobiling. So the whole crew, we all got snowmobiles that were only supposed to go 30 miles an hour. But if you rented me the snowmobiles, don't listen. But we went 80 miles an hour, me and a couple guys.
oh
So
my
we
word,
take the guy, we take our movers out. Like they're professional, they're tradesmen. Their trade is moving, their trade is customer service, and my trade is personal development with them. So I try to recognize them at every corner possible.
very nice. So, how did you come up with the name of your company?
Back to my wife, Higher Ground Moving. Of course, I'm not wearing any Higher Ground Moving attire. I got my movingletters.ai hat on, got a plain blue shirt on, Movified, which is a podcast, Movified podcast. I got the moving arm. I got everything besides my company, but it got the name by my wife, and it
Nice.
came from the Boulder, Colorado area. She was part of a all girls drug rehab group, and it was called Higher Ground something something all girls rehab. and we were spitballing names, and I'm the best namer anybody's ever had. Like my kids got fantastic names, got the best names in dogs and horses, but by far my wife came up with the best name I've ever heard. Higher Ground Moving. To me, it shows trust and and safety, and it shows like a solid foundation, and it shows that you're going to be able to, if the tide raises, you're still safe. You're up there. Plus,
Yeah,
we're in the high desert, Central Oregon.
it works. I like it. I was just really curious how you came
Yeah,
up with it. So good for Rachel.
yeah.
Now, what do you do for fun? You work a lot, I know that. So what's other than taking snowmobiles out at 80 miles an hour? What do you do for fun?
I just got into rock climbing, so I've been going to the Ben Rock gym, trying to get my skills up. It's beautiful because with rock climbing, it's there's no lying to yourself. You see the route, you see the number, you can do that or you can't do it, and then you get better or you don't get better, and it's very measurable. So I'm a fanatic for things I can measure like that. So I love rock climbing. I've been a big mountain biker for a while now. Um,
Very
I I despise running with every fiber of my body, and I was confronted with it. I went to a sales training course in Arizona just a couple days ago. Just got back. My voice is still hoarse from it, but a group of us moving company owners, we had to run hills with the team, and I thought I'm in shape. I have this. I I was lying to myself. I think that if you don't do something, it's easy to lie to yourself. So now I'm starting off and I'm running a mile a day every day, non-negotiable. I, I don't like it. So I'm doing that for fun right now. And
yeah.
but I love personal development. That's what I'm into. That's what I have fun with.
Oh, we can talk about that off camera too. I got some ideas. So I used to go out and do a lot of like high powered walking, very fast.
Yeah.
I tried jogging, the running thing for a while, and I hated it too. It's like I was more bored doing that than walking.
So bored.
I,
Yeah.
I was very bored. I was training to do a half marathon and I got to that point, but I thought this is the most boring thing. And then I got into nature walks, just
Mhm.
doing, I had a dog, so I take her out on the trails and walk fast. And she had little basset hound legs. She was half basset and half Malamute, but she got the little basset legs. But boy, she could drag me around.
I got a couple dogs too. I feel like if you're in Central Oregon and you don't have dogs, you're gonna have dogs. Like
Right.
everyone has a dog.
At some point, yeah, I've had several dogs and they're fantastic. You can't just be idle with a dog. There's no way.
I have a blue heeler.
Oh boy, they herd
So
you, don't they? They
yeah, they don't have time for dilly-dally. Like, all right, let's go. My last workout was 20 minutes ago. We've been sitting around all day. Let's go.
let's go. Yeah, they get you out for sure. Sounds like
Yep.
you've got a fun life. What do you and Rachel do for fun? Does she like to do the running and the biking and the
She's
climbing?
into to exercising. She likes taking group exercise classes. She was really into hiking mountains, but she hiked a bunch of them in Colorado, all those 14,000 foot mountains. But
Mhm.
around here, we haven't climbed South Sister in a few years, but we would say we like doing climbing and hiking and just being out in nature. But we prefer to be out in nature with our dogs right now. So if the trails say no dogs, it's like I'd rather
Yeah.
be with the dogs.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got Smith Rock that is not too far away, and Smith Rock is something to aspire to. If you
Well, I
go,
got sorry to interrupt. I got a couple stories about Smith Rock if I can give them.
oh yeah, I love Smith Rock. I love you. Go ahead.
So
Let's,
at the top of Misery Ridge, with a you can see the monkey in his face, and a lot of times you see rock climbers they'll put that slack line up right from there all the way so you can walk right into their mouth. Well, I have some friends who would hook a rope up a mount just a rock climbing rope to the ear of the monkey, and we would go to the back across the slack line to the Misery Ridge side where everyone walks, and we jump off we jump off, and it's the craziest, and that's probably the scariest thing I've ever done. I've done it about a dozen times, but it takes every fiber of my being to jump off and trust that this tiny rope connected to that little rock is going to keep me. So that's one of my favorite things. It's Smith Rock, a most beautiful rope swing. If you want to look that up on YouTube. Anybody who's listening or watching, it's also called Killing Willies. It's amazingly scary.
I can only imagine. I've never been into rock climbing, but I have friends that like it. But I have a friend that I've known for a long time, and I asked him one time if he'd ever gone hiking or done another rock climbing thing. So, and he's a little older gentleman. He said, no, it's a perfectly good mountain, and I'm going to leave it that way.
Yep. Yep. I don't know why some of us have to look off the edge of the mountain and some of us can't just be content with being 20 feet away and being up there. I have to be, well, I need to go where I might die. I don't know what drives me to be that way, but it's in me and it's in every fiber of me.
Well, that's great. Another thing that I think I would aspire to do, you talked about jumping out of an airplane. I would love to go on a hot air balloon. And
Oh,
those,
that's scary though. That's scary too. I would
you
love
know,
that too.
wouldn't it be great? Because it's around here is so beautiful.
Mhm.
And it's the fact that you're up and it's quiet. You've got the air shooting up in the balloon, but it's peaceful. It's a very peaceful thing. And it's not fast.
That's one of the main reasons I want to have this company to build revenue and wealth for myself and my family. So I don't have to. Old Nate thinks that's too expensive. I can't do it. New Nate knows it's it's this amount of money. It takes this to get that amount of money. Now you, your wife, and your kids, we can all go up together and experience this thing that Janice is talking about, this hot air balloon. Like
Mm.
the fun coupons, I mean, I was raised to believe that money is the root of all evil. And you can use it for evil very easily. That's why you got to build a stronger mind first. And that's why I've been really clicked on to the personal development because you can take that money, but then if you use it for evil, that sucks, you know? I'd rather not.
Well, I was raised with a lot of those same thoughts, and my whole life I heard money doesn't grow on trees. And and people that were wealthy, I would hear my parents, they probably didn't notice we were listening, or but they would say things about their friends who had a lot of money, and it was a critical thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so I grew up hearing the same thing, and I'm still I don't think you ever get to a point where you completely well, you can eliminate it, but they sneak back in. You heard things for so many years, they
Yeah.
sneak back in, especially if you hear it before you're 6 or 7. That's when
Yeah.
you have to really dig deep in that personal development to go, okay, what is going on here? And
I
find out
agree.
why you think the way you do. And I applaud you for, kind of investigating and looking into making those changes in your life and why am I doing this and what brings me to that edge that I feel like I've got to jump off of something.
Exactly.
I'm sure there's a story there somewhere, but
Oh yeah.
do you have any words of wisdom or how can people find you? And of course, your information will be available on the
Yeah.
broadcast.
Well, I guess I'll give a little bit of cheesiness just real quick because why not? Platform to throw some cheese and might as well make it stink.
Please do.
So this is me and how I've done it. I didn't go to college. I barely graduated school. I had the abilities, but I didn't have the drive or the want or the reason, the why. And I feel like, and it's okay to not know what you want to do, but if you're not moving towards anything, you're done. You don't want, it's good to be a fish just swimming aimlessly. You don't know what you're doing, but if you let the current take you downstream, something else is going to get you. So I want everyone who's listening to this to grab their, no, we'll stay with the fish, to swim upstream, even if it's hard. Go to the next place, you'll find your spot. And I'm just happy that I took the leap with the courage, confidence to build the connections to be where I'm at right now. And just literally 3 days ago, I thought to myself, I have a car, 2019 Tacoma. I have a house, 2 stories, baby, built in 1994. If you feel me, this is good stuff. And I was resting on my laurels, like this is good. I've made it. I'm doing good. I haven't made it. Old Nate made it. New Nate had just started. So I'm just so happy to be part of the journey of my own life and the people in my life's life.
Yes, and I appreciate where you're coming from because I watched that video you did. That was
Ah,
That was good because it's easy to get to a point where you think, I'm satisfied,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with challenging yourself, but find something that drives that passion and that fire in your soul that you can and share it with others. Don't be afraid, people, to let your light shine. That is what I try to encourage people to do because everybody has value and everybody has something to give. That's
So,
very important. But I'm so appreciate you coming on to
mhm.
the podcast because I knew you did podcasts and I thought, well, I'm just going to have you on mine, put you in the hot seat. So
Too easy.
I'm an easy podcaster. I just like to have fun.
I love it. So real quick, people can find me. I'm the Venture in the Business podcast. That's one where I go to wherever your business is here in Central Oregon, and we just chit chat about what you do, how you started it, kind of just like what Janice and I just did. Um, Venture in the Business podcast on YouTube, or Venture in the Business on YouTube or on Instagram. And I put up my personal life on Instagram all the time, and I just leave the podcast stuff on the YouTube. So I look to see you. Looking forward to seeing you there. Give me a follow.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Another episode of Courage, Confidence, Connections podcast in the books and more to come. So thank you, Nate.
Thank you.